While the most recent episode of MobLand served as a significant turning point in the ongoing conflict between the Stevensons and the Harrigans, another major plotline has become increasingly frustrating and reached a crescendo by the end of episode 7. Although Harry's desperate attempt to free Brendan and Seraphina Harrigan from their captor's grasp was the main plot point of episode 7, a number of other significant events also took place. Among the most significant was Jan Da Souza, played by Joann Froggatt, who, after defying Conrad in episode 6, did so again. However, there might be severe consequences this time. To meet up with her friend Alice, a DS Fisk undercover informant, Jan left the Harrigan manor. Jan has been opening up to Alice as a result of Alice gradually becoming more intimate with her by reflecting her own issues. When Jan meets Alice in episode 7, Conrad has his other fixer Paul follow her into town. He confronts them after hearing them discuss killers and gangsters, obviously thinking Jan was disclosing Harrigan secrets. Although the speed at which Jan and Alice became friends during their initial interactions was rather awkward, it was still reasonably believable for a while. A woman who had fallen into a rut and was dissatisfied with her life found a friend who shared her interests and age. You can see how she might be more willing to form a friendship than one might typically assume. However, the entire plot took a drastic turn in episode 7, which made me realize how ridiculous it is that Jan still has the level of trust that Alice has demonstrated. Jan still doesn't really know Alice, as Paul and Conrad both point out. However, she leaves the relative safety of the Harrigan manor, which is now essentially a fortress, during the height of a gang war, when actual bodies are being dropped left and right, and fully exposes herself in public in order to speak with a friend who needs someone to confide in. For the sake of a woman who isn't even being all that coy anymore in her pursuit of insider information, she defies Conrad, who has already discussed it with her and is now obviously insane. To be honest, Jan now just comes across as naive or purposefully stupid. You can clearly see or hear Alice steering the conversation in a certain direction, and she is no longer even trying to hide her inquiries about Harry or even Conrad. It's true that MobLand is a fantastic show, but if you continue to think about many of the characters' choices for too long, you'll become confused. But Jan's story with Alice has gotten so out of control that I'm actively annoyed by it. There will undoubtedly be a payoff to this plot soon. Given how direct Alice is becoming with her invasive questions, Jan and/or the Harrigans must understand her ultimate goal. Given what happens to rats in MobLand, it appears that Alice's time is running out because, even if Conrad weren't as unstable as he has become as a result of Maeve and Richie's deceit, he would be happy to kill her. This plot point could prove to be crucial since Alice's exposure and murder would undoubtedly hasten Fisk and Musaka's hunt for the Harrigan crime empire. Not because the Stevensons are pursuing her, Jan doesn't appear to be safe at this time either. Jan has done a lot of things that Maeve can, and has, point to suspiciously, and Maeve has been trying to dispel the rumor that she is the rat in the Harrigan household. The final nail in the coffin that Maeve needs to prove she is the rat could be her abandoning the rest of the family during a war and Paul catching her discussing gangsters. A MobLand finale resolution may be on the horizon given how tiresome the subplot has grown and how much time has been spent on it.